Yes! Yes! It is time, ladies and gentlemen, for week thus far date. The news. This week, the Gray Academy of Jewish Education installed a buddy bench as a place for students to go during recess if they don't have many friends. A teacher at the school was quoted as saying, "This is great, because now the losers have a place to go, and the bullies don't have to work as hard to find them." Former Blue Bomber Dave Donaldson is running for council in the Daniel Mack ward, which is currently held by longtime councillor Harvey Smith, who tragically passed away in 2006. The city of Winnipeg's recycling facilities are over capacity. The largest facility, located on Henry Avenue, is currently housing 30,000 tons of recycled waste, while our second largest facility, the MTS Center, houses the recycled Atlanta Thrashers. A recent study showed Winnipeg's Grace Hospital has the country's worst ER wait times. A rep from the Grace Hospital has agreed to come on the show. They're waiting downstairs, and we hope to fit them in sometime in the next 4 to 6 months. Winnipeg has received a B grade in a new report on the attractiveness of Canadian cities to migrants. Its attractiveness to current citizens has been deemed an F, but after a few drinks, the people of Winnipeg will settle for anything. A bunch of old white people opened up the Human Rights Museum last week. It was met with a lot of criticism, probably because old white people are generally responsible for the lion's share of human rights violations. This makes the museum something of a greatest hits album for, well, us. The Canadian Navy. The Canadian Navy announced the retirement of 4 ships last week. Admiral Roger Murtaugh softly said to the HMCS Riggs, "I'm getting too old for this ship." Yeah. The Terry Fox Run was last week. Thousands of people showed up to cycle, walk, or run, while the traditionalists hopped along and gave up halfway through. Jack Burnett, editor of the Old Farmer's Almanac, has been quoted as saying that Canada is looking at the T-Rex of winters. If this is indeed the average, then Vancouver is proportionally going to get something closer to a German Shepherd, while Winnipeg will face something closer to Cthulhu, the behemoth elder god whose name can bring madness upon a single utterance. Prime Minister Stephen Harper is under fire for skipping out on a UN climate change summit in New York. Adding fuel to the fire is the fact that Harper will be in New York during the summit, spending time stuffing hunks of coal down the throats of endangered animals, dousing them in oil and setting them on fire. "While everybody talks about climate change, I'm doing something about it," remarked Harper, elbow deep in a spotted owl. A billboard on the outskirts of Moose Jaw is befuddling some people as a strong anti-abortion message appears on it directly above the "Welcome to Moose Jaw" sign. This is in stark contrast to the signs as you leave Moose Jaw, which are pro-choice, advising people who've had sex in the town to abort early, abort often, and stop the spread of Moose Jaw. Scotland voted on their referendum last Friday with the no vote prevailing. While the outcome of the election surprised some, what was not surprising was the amount of arm hair left behind in the polling stations. A Philadelphia man robbed a convenience store last week armed with a banana in his pocket, and for the last goddamn time, the cashier was not happy to see him. Ugandan men have been complaining to authorities that condoms are too small. In response, Canadian men have stated, "Oh yeah, us too. We need bigger ones too, eh? I was about to say something, but I forgot to bring it up. So." Last Friday, a police SUV in New Jersey crashed into a Dunkin' Donuts. The store manager responded by saying, "I get it, Jesus, I'll build the f***ing drive-through." The NFL will be releasing a new innovative type of padding and protective gear for NFL players. Wives and girlfriends and children and pets. Miley Cyrus spent time in a Mexican prison after a dancer at her concert spanked her with the country's flag. When asked how she felt about being held in a sweaty, overpopulated room full of drug dealers, Cyrus put up her hands and nodded her head like, "Yeah," and moved her hips like, "Yeah." After waiting in line for several hours, an Australian man owned the very first iPhone 6 for mere moments before dropping it on live television. U2 frontman Bono offered to buy him a new phone, but only if he would listen to his new album. For free. Just one time. Just a little bit. Bill Gates' wife, Melinda Gates, is working on a vagina lozenge that would act as a contraceptive. She's collaborating with the makers of Fisherman's Friend on a variety of fun flavors, including cherry, honey, classic, and extra-strength vagina. A picture of Japanese porn star Mana Aoki appeared in an American math textbook released last week, sparking a new trend that young people have named mathturbating. A picture of Japanese porn star Mana Aoki appeared in an American math textbook released last week. Her photo was discovered by a 13-year-old nerd who stated, "This isn't what I wanted to masturbate to." Last week, a giant 17-foot anaconda was captured in French Guiana after eating a pet dog. Shockingly, this was not a hot dog, but a living, breathing animal, which is funny, as I was under the impression that this anaconda don't want none unless you got buns, hun. And finally, the band Before Four, in a recent interview with Vice, admitted that their 2004 hit Get Down was actually about oral sex. In a later interview with Gawker, they admitted that the previous interview was really about a desperate attempt to get some attention. And in a third interview with a day manager at Applebee's, they promised their previous interviews would in no way interfere with their duties as dishwashers. And that's the news, everybody. Yeah, felt good. We'll be right back with Joe Kornelsen.